here today? Is it bright or is it me? It's so bright.
It's bright and cold.
Is that better? I don't know why it's so bright. Okay, so I think one of the biggest problems that we run into as far as new to design and using some of these tools is, and specifically typography, is that we make common errors. And what I mean by common errors is spacing mostly. Again, I think I already discussed this at the very beginning of the semester. You're all making text way too big. I mean, if you look at your phone, you go and just pull out your phone right now, I mean, you can see the typography that is on there is really quite small, okay? Even on the home screen. Then the time might be big, but, you know, the little button, the text bullet says Wednesday, whatever day it is, and then at the very bottom, to unlock and an emergency cancel. They're very tiny. Most of you are using text that's way too big. And the other common problem you run into using text is by using... I think that's locked. This layer's not locked. Is by coming and scaling it like that. Okay, so you end up getting text that is squished because you accidentally, or maybe not accidentally, on purpose maybe, you went and you got your move tool and you, let's say, don't apply. You got your move tool and you say, okay, I want this text to be a little bigger, and so you start scaling it like this, and then you start scaling it like that, and then all of a sudden there it is. It's already been distorted. Okay, already been distorted. How can I go back to normal? Is that a way? Normal? Normal. I guess normal. So if you have already squished your text and you're saying, oh, it looks kind of squished, I want to go back to before it was squished. There's a way, I guess, before it was squished. Of course, you could go back to undo, or probably the most common way of doing it would be to go into the type options, wherever they are. Well, you know, in Illustrator, the character and the the paragraph are together. And here's the character option here. You'll notice right now that the typography is 138.86 points. It's not even close to what it should be. You know, so if you go back to a normal size, it's still squished. Trying to think of how to fix it. It's in the squished window here. Hold on, I'm trying to think of how to fix it. Shit. So let me do that in there. This is still 100%. This is 100%. 100%. Still squished. I thought I could change these numbers right here, but it doesn't look like it'll let me. Okay, I'll have to think about how to fix it. I thought I was able to go into this character option. See where it says 100% here? It's 100% vertical and 100% horizontally, but it didn't seem to help. It did not seem to help here. I thought I could fix it here, but it didn't seem to work. So, I guess I don't know how to fix the squished text. How about that? Try not to squish your text. How about that? In the character window, they have this 100. See how it says 100% width here and 100% height? I thought I could fix it here, and here, but it no, I know, but that didn't seem. Well, it does help a little bit, but I don't think this is the solution here. I don't think that's the solution there. I'll have to think of another way. I thought it would be here and here is where I could do it.
I'll normally just do step backwards.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work, it's too late, then I just normally retype it.
not that difficult.
There you go. How about we duplicate this text that's not squished, and then put it in there. Okay, let's move on. Try not to squish your text. How about that? Okay, let's talk a little bit about the options in the paragraph window. That's what I really wanted to talk about here in the paragraph window. So try not to, I guess, avoid trying to scale your text with the move tool if you can do that at all possible. If you want to scale in a ratio, you want to scale in the proper ratio, you can go into the transform scale option and then dial in a scale feature. Again, here's how I would scale it. Instead of using this tool right here, the move tool, and trying to scale like this, because right now, right there, it's going to start squishing it already. Instead of doing it that way, of course, changing the font would be best here under character to make it bigger. Or if you really do want to scale, like I said, the easier way to do it is under Edit, Transform, Scale. If you go under Edit, Transform, Scale, it'll give you the options that up here at the very top where you have a width and a height. If you lock it in between the width and the height, you can then go and dial and you can scale like this, and it will keep it in proportion without distorting. Again, that was under Edit, Transform, Scale. Choosing that option gives you these options at the top. I can lock the width and height, and then as I put my cursor over the W for width or H for height, I can click with my mouse and drag left and right, and it'll scale in proportion. Do you see that? That might be a better way than just using this tool and dragging like this. Now, of course, we all know you can hold down the Shift key while you're doing it. Oh, there's slanting. No, we don't want to do that. You can hold the Shift key down and scale in proportion. That's one other way. So just try and avoid that. The other thing you would want to do maybe is make sure that your letters are properly kerned and line spacing. Right now there's a lot of space between ones and 1 and a 5 and 1 and a 6. And of course I don't have an extra space here. So you want to really go in there and work on your typography. Ooh, that's a little bit too much, isn't it? No, that was right. Okay. So there's a lot of space between these numbers here. So in order to adjust the space, of course, we can go to the character window. In the character pop-up window, you have the line or the letter spacing is here, and this is kerning. And the difference between the kerning and the letter spacing is that this is the spacing between all the letters in the line, and this is the spacing between 2 letters in a line. So if I come over here, again, I'm under the character window. If I come over here to the window here, and I hold my left mouse down and drag down, minus will tighten up the letters. See how they're tighter? Positive will spread them out. So again, this is the line spacing. This one I'd probably tighten it up. Look at that. Does that look a little better? Maybe. Definitely better than it was before. So again, you have this line spacing here. Okay. The kerning between one letter would be here. If I want the ones between this one and this one to be a little closer, I could use my text tool. And so how you use the kerning one is you actually click between the two letters, or 2 numbers in this case, with the I bar or the type tool. And then if you come over here to the kerning option, you can actually click and drag to a negative number to tighten it up even more. Again, this is for one letter, and this is for the whole line spacing. Another thing that you might need to deal with, and sometimes I have to deal with, is trademarks and register marks. And I think we looked at that already, but let's say the word today was trademarked. What was the keyboard shortcut for trademark? There was that Alt something, right? Wasn't it? Alt something? Alt numpad. I don't know, there's Alt ones. If you don't use that, though, let's say you don't remember it, you can put your TM in there for trademark. And, of course, you can shrink that down. And then you can use this option, which is the baseline shift right here. Baseline shift. this one right here, and we can adjust it so it goes up, and there would be a proper trademark, something like that. So there is ways of faking it. If you can't remember your TM, which there is an Alt key to get the proper TM, you can put that in there, like I just said, and then shrink the size down and do the baseline shift right here. The problem with that though is if this was in a line of text that had text above and below and you tried doing that, it would mess everything up. So just be aware of that. That works fine for one line. Okay, let's talk about spacing within an area. I think another common mistake that we make is spacing in an area, like this text over here. I still think is too big. This text right here is kind of still too big. It's okay, but you know, we tend to squeeze, especially when you were making the menu for the photography website. Many of you were you know, because I demonstrated, hey, let's make a rectangle, right? So we make a rectangle, and we got some color in there, whatever, and then I make some text. And I type in my text, and let me color that text. And what you tend to do was you stretched it and you scaled it. Many of you turned in that. Okay. What you've just done though is you've scaled it to fit the whole button, but it looks like it's too tight. It's squished in there. So be aware that you don't need to scale and make everything fit super big. Okay, if that's a word, super big. Okay, you can. This is perfectly fine, though. I don't like this font. I might use a little bit more of a. Oh, that is regular. How about medium? Yeah, that's a little better. And I might add a little bit of space between them. Nice space like that. And try not to scale it if you can. So that's a lot better than trying to scale and squeeze it. I gave it a little bit more line space, a little bit more letter spacing, and that looks a lot better than squishing and scaling. So just be aware of trying to avoid that, which is the problem with this over here. Again, this looks a little tight in here. So what you might want to do is either change the font to a lighter font, maybe. Though that makes it a little harder to read. Or make it smaller, more like it. I would say maybe instead of 48, go down to 43. And then add a little bit more line spacing. Oh, not this. Yeah, this is the line spacing. That looks a little bit better. It doesn't look like it's squeezed in there. I think the thing is, you got to think it's very common sense. Does it look like it's squeezed in an area? Does it look like it's squeezed in there? Could it have more spacing around it? I think that looks a little bit better than the bigger font that I had. The more line spacing between it makes it easier to read than having bigger text, I guess. The more line spacing that we have in here is definitely better and easier to read than the bigger font. At least I think so. Now, I haven't downloaded the example from Google yet, but as I was deconstructing what Google has put on their website as examples for a template, one of the things that they were doing is they were actually not using the drop shadowing effect and things like that. What they do is they'll actually use a separate layer for a shadow. For example, let me zoom in here for a minute. And we'll download that in just 1 second. But some of the things I saw that Google was doing is the old traditional way. There's an old traditional way. There's a word, old traditional. Because before there was drop shadow in these applications, we had to make a separate file for a drop shadow. So what I would do is I would duplicate this layer here, and they would actually make a separate layer, color it black, and let's reorder it. And so something like that. That's a little bit off as far as the alignment, but maybe something like that. So from our last demonstration from last class, I was using, remember, the effects window down here, whatever the FX with the drop shadow. Remember doing that and trying to adjust that. But one of the things that Google, and we'll download their thing right now. We're going to go download one of their templates and deconstruct it. But I just wanted to point out one of the things that they do in there is they actually do something like this. So they actually have a separate layer underneath it like that to simulate the drop shadow effect like this. Okay, I've seen that. And let's go and download it. So you can download the templates too. If you go to Canvas, I actually linked it up to Canvas. So if you go to Canvas, and we're going to go and deconstruct some of the templates from Google. If you go and look, hopefully we're logging in. And right here is more material design templates. If you go here, of course, these are ones that are on the internet, and these are the ones directly from Google. If you go click on that, it'll take you to their templates inside here. Some of them are Illustrator. Okay, most of them are Illustrator. Didn't I? I had a Photoshop one. Where did that go? Well, let me download an Illustrator one for right now. Let me download this one. How did I find that Photoshop one? It was a Photoshop one that I found. Maybe it was under devices. No. I thought it was there. It was under stickers, sheets, and icons. This one right here. It's under resources. So on that link I put on Canvas, in the upper left corner is the burger menu. If you click on that, the Photoshop file that I downloaded and was deconstructing is called Sticker Sheets and Icons. Sticker Sheets and Icons. So if you're on this page, again, I clicked up here in the upper left corner of the burger menu, went to Sticker Sheets and Icons. So under Sticker Sheets and Icons, there is some Photoshop files there. This is the one I downloaded, the Component Sticker Sheet for Adobe Photoshop. It's right here, Component Sticker Sheets for Adobe Photoshop. And once you download that and open it up, I think we've seen this already. This was last week. I think I downloaded this too. This is what you get. You get all the... Sorry, I gotta move this around here. Move it around. Hold on. I gotta move it around. You get all these example of how to make the menus, right? Now the advantage of doing this though and using this is that you can deconstruct how they built their pieces. For example, let's say you wanted to see how they made the shadow on that. You can click on there. It'll take you to the option over here in the layer window, and you can go down and you can see, well, they have a shadow. You can see it right here. There's a little FX on this rectangle that they got here. You can click on it and you can see there is a shadow, but they also have, again, there's something called an Ambien Shadow, which is actually a separate layer. If I turn this off, you can actually see they have a separate layer that's underneath it that's a little bit more of a shadow. Do you see that? So as I was deconstructing how they made things, I was looking at how they did it. So again, they kind of like what I did with the type earlier. They made an actually separate layer that's underneath it to give you more of a larger shadow. Probably to simulate more of that. In addition, you see the little head, the little photo with the round. How did they do that round around the photo? You can see over here they actually have, remember last class how I was showing you how to do the circle and then going down to the masking? Remember doing that last class or last week in my video? They do it the same way that I did there, where you draw the circle over top and then have it mask the one underneath it, right? Do you want me to demonstrate that again? You want me to show you a circle? Okay, let's get a head in a circle. How about that? We gotta get. Let's find a head. Okay, so let me go back to my other one. Let's go back to here, and let's do a little login over here. So work on your typography. Don't scale it to try and finish with this little. I'm going to delete this right now, but work on, you know, putting some letter spacing in between and instead of scaling. I think is very important. Okay, let's make a basic menu like you saw here in the sticker option, right? In the sticker option, they got this kind of, let's zoom in again. Let's kind of make something like this. Let's make something like this with little people and their email address and a little box with the little X right there. So let's make this box right here. Okay, by hand, not to just steal it. Let's just make it by hand over here. Again, they had a rectangle. Just using the rectangle tool right here. They had an extra rectangle with a blur underneath it. I'm not going to go through all that. But they did have a color to it. They had kind of a gray. No. I didn't go gray. Oh, here, gray, lighter gray, light gray. Then they had another rectangle across the top up here with a color in it, right? And that was one of these fabulous colors. Then they had a shadow here, right? The shadow again is made under the layers window. At the very bottom is the FX right here. FX right here. So I can go and apply my drop shadow there. So that's not too bad, but again, if you remember, they had used two for that, right? They used 2 for that. And if you want it blurrier, I think spread. And I think the reason why they did that is just because this default drop shadow inside of Photoshop is not drop shadowy enough. If that's a word, drop shadowy enough. I think that's why they had 2. But for my example, I'm not going to go through. There we go. So we have a drop shadow. Let's go find some pictures of people. I think I got a photo of myself somewhere. Here we go. Jeff's photo. Whoosh, scary photo. Very scary. That's very, very, very fat in this picture. I've lost a lot of weight after that. So how about that? So I'm going to use that as a template. So here is my fat photo here. I'm going to shrink it down. Shrink it down. Shrink it down. And of course I don't have enough space around me to give this a nice round edge, do I? Because it's going to cut off a lot. Let me see if I got a better one. I need a photo. Give me a photo. Give me a photo. Oh, here we go. Here's another one of me. Same picture. A little bit more space around the outside. There we go. So let's crop that. Ah, jeez. If you want to make it square, here, let me escape that. If you want to use the crop tool to make it square, you can put a 1, to 1 ratio up there. See, 1 to 1, and then there we go. Whoosh, that's going to be not very good either. Okay, let's try that. Shrink that down. Again, this is square. This first one I tried doing was not square. You probably want it to be square when you're doing this. You want it to be square. So, let me delete this one. Okay, here we go. So this is a square one. How I made it square, again, was using the crop tool. And I put 1 by 1 inch. It doesn't matter. It's a ratio. So whatever's 1 to 1 ratio, or 2 to 2, or 3 to 3, or 0 to 0. I don't know. You needed a ratio. Now it's square. You don't have to worry about size right now. Once you make it into a mask, you can actually scale it down together with the mask. To do the masking, again, is making a new layer above, and then using your, in this case, if I want a round circle for this icon, I can use the Ellipse Tool. I can click in the center of my circle here. And if I hold down the Option key, it'll grow from the center out. And so I can make myself a perfect circle over top of my head. Okay, so again, I have a circle over top of my photo. Circle, photo. If you want to make sure that they're perfectly aligned in the center, you can actually select both layers here. Okay, select both layers, and over here you have the alignment features up here. Let's do an example. Let's say that you drew the circle and it was a little off. You're like, ah, it's off. Okay, so what you could do is you can select both of them. Again, select both layers. And once you have both layers selected, up here you have your align center, horizontal align center, vertical align center. See, vertical, boom, boom. Now it's right in the center. Okay, so there are alignment features inside of Illustrator as well as in Photoshop that allow you to do these things. Then to do the mask, again, we click on the ellipse, which is the one on top. In the layer window, click in the layer window, in the layers window. Right click on it and say create clipping mask. And oh, did I do it wrong? Maybe I need to put the photo on top. Is that what I have to do? See, I made a mistake. Put the photo on top. How about that? Right click, create clipping mask. There we go. Wrong layers. So again, I made a mistake. Let me do that again. The photo needed to be on top of the circle. There's the photo on top of the circle. Then right click on the photo and say create clipping mask. And once it's a clipping mask, you can scale them together. And we can put it into place. Okay. Always, when you're done scaling something, apply it. And so, what did it have? It had like an email address next to it. Is that what it had? What am I doing here? Align left here. That's what I want. And that's pretty ugly. Probably make that white text. And definitely would use light. Or maybe thin. And make it smaller. A little bigger. Ooh, definitely too thin. Maybe make it a little thicker. How about light? Maybe a little bigger. Don't scale. Don't scale. Use your font. Use your font. There we go. There we go. And then to make the ones down here, you could do the same thing. You could duplicate all this stuff. Remember to duplicate things, you hold down the Option key and click and drag. And then they had the little X in the upper corner here, right? Was this a black font? What did they have here on their sticker sheet? Oh, it was dark. Oh, and they had contact name, and then they had the email. So they do have darker text here. Oh, I guess I have to use the font tool. F 40404040. And do the same for this one. What did I say? 404040. There we go. And then, of course, I don't want my head in every single one. How can I adjust that? I could do that by opening another picture. I'm going to open another picture up. I don't know if I have any other people. Do I have any other people? Uh-oh. Can I choose a family member? Have any people? See any people? People. There we go. Here, we'll take a sister. And again, I'm gonna use I'm gonna square cut this out. This time I'm gonna use the rectangular marquee to steal this picture of this person here. Copy that using the rectangular marquee to make sure it's square. I'm using the shift key as I'm using the rectangular marquee. So find a photo like I just found this person here. I cut them out. I go over here. I paste them. I then go and scale them down. Make sure they fit. Make sure they fit. And then let's replace, scale them down. And then let's replace them on top of my ellipse. Oops, this is the wrong one. I want it to be down below there. Nope, wrong one. This one goes here. This? Yeah, that's it. And I want to put it right above the circle, right above the ellipse, and then remove this one. Remove me. Delete that one. Yes. And then this is not working. Why am I not removing this? Okay, I'm not removing this. Why am I still seeing this? Can't see anything. There's that one. That one's fine. There's that one. That one's fine. What is this? Oh, I have two of them. That's why. Go away. There we go. Sorry, I had two on top of each other. That's why it was confusing me. There we go. Just put it on top. When you're done doing that, I think you can move it around inside there so that you can move it. So I'm only moving the layer without moving the mask at the same time. I'm using the arrows on the keyboard to do that. So there we go. So we got two people now. Two people. And then the last thing, how do I get my little X that closes the window over here? Remember in the example they had a little X over here. Where do you think I could find that little X? X to close the window. Maybe on their website. Remember they had icons? What are the icons under? Layout, maybe? Components.
Under the same sticker menu, they have a bunch of buttons.
Under this one?
Icon library.
Where is that?
Here.
Thank you. And so it's on the website, and we're looking for the close window, right? The close one. This one. This one looks like it's closing, right? And again, download the SVG is better, I would say. So download the SVG. Then again, if you remember how I used it in my layout last time, was I used it by placing it. If you remember from last class, we used it by placing it by going under File, Place Embed, Place Embed. Find that SVG wherever I saved it. Was it this one? I guess it's that one. And then again, be careful scaling. Make sure you don't squish it. And then again, if you want to change the color, right now it's black. So let's. I scaled it. So right now it's black. We don't want it to be black. We want it to be white. How would you change it? In Illustrator. But how do I get the Illustrator from here? Info window. If you have it selected, and go to the info window. If I can find the info window. There's it. Oh, jeez, really? Maybe lock your stuff when you're done. No, properties window. I lied. Properties window. Was it properties or info window? Let's select it. It was the properties window. I'm sorry. The properties window. So after you scale it and get it there, go to the properties window, and there it says edit contents. See where it says edit contents? And if you click on the edit contents, it'll take you into Illustrator, automatically take you into Illustrator. Once inside of Illustrator, you can select it, change the color to what you want. When you're done in Illustrator, you can then just save it. Just save. And then close it. You don't have to do anything else. Just go in Illustrator, change it. You're done in Illustrator. You just go back to Photoshop, close it, go back to Photoshop. What did I do? Wrong. I made everything white. That was the problem. So let's go back and fix that. I made everything white. Of course, I don't need this big rectangle. I can go away. Let's see. Is this circle a circle? Does this have a fill? Okay. Maybe that worked. There was a rectangle. The whole thing was. So let's save it. Let's go back and see. That's better. It had a big rectangle around the whole thing. That's why. Remember, if you want to give a drop shadow to, let's say, the photos of the people here, like this people here, remember that? You wanted to put a drop shadow on there. You can do certain things. You can actually put it on the mask. You don't put it on the photo. You put it on the ellipse. In addition, you can copy the drop shadow, because right now I have this drop shadow right here. I want to use the same settings as the drop shadow here, right? On the rectangle that's behind there, there has a drop shadow, right? It's in the effects window right here. See it? Effects right here. It says effects right here. You can actually duplicate those effects. You can duplicate them. I can duplicate that by clicking on the effect, holding down the Option key on the keyboard, and drag that effect to a new layer. Drag the effect to a new layer. In this case, I want to drag it to, is it this one? Who is the, well, that's that one. Effect, drag it to a new layer. Oh, I already did that one. There we go. The problem with that, though, is the shadow's too far away, isn't it? So that's not the best. You can see, though, that you can duplicate an effect from one area to the other. So can you keep all those things in mind, what we talked about today? The typography. Don't squeeze your text. Work with the letter spacing to make sure that your font looks better. Doesn't this look so much nicer that I went up here with this letters up here at the top? Instead of using the default line spacing, right? I actually went and add, like between the 5 in here, there's some spacing problems there. Right here, isn't there? Right there. If I hit a space there, oh, there we go, we fixed that. So really look at the details of your letters and making sure, duplicating in that. Okay, last thing I'll demonstrate real quick is the Illustrator. I'm not going to make things in Illustrator. Let's just open up their template in Illustrator. So I'm going to go over to Illustrator. I know we don't really use Illustrator too much in this class, but I think I downloaded their template. Did I not? I swear I downloaded their template. Where was it? Maybe downloads? Oh gosh, really? No, I swear I downloaded their template, didn't I? Oh, bummer. Bummer, 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 bummer. Where is it? Where is it? This one. It's there somewhere. Oh, it's already there. So here's their template, their guidelines for following, okay? And they have a bunch of examples. If you don't, the grid is distracting you, you can turn off the grid by using the view, grids, hide grid. So here's a bunch of pre-made templates inside of Illustrator. Okay. And of course they're all separate objects. If you want to start from scratch in Illustrator, you can use the File New. And just like we had in Photoshop, you have devices right here, devices or mobile, either one. And you can choose the appropriate device that you want. You got your Apple Watch, your Nexus 7, your Android, your Surface Pro. And so they're all in the new window that will give you a new artboard that's the appropriate size if you want to try and use Illustrator.
For the template, you just copy one of the templates to another artboard.
You can select the content, copy it, and paste it. It doesn't seem like it's fitting, but might have to scale it. Seems like it's in the right ratio. Do you want me to show you how to put a picture of a person in one of these circles in Illustrator? Okay, so we do the same technique using the clipping mask. The same way you would do it inside of Photoshop, you would do it in Illustrator using a clipping mask. So again, you would place your picture. I can find my ugly photos here. Ugly photos. Where's my ugly photo? Where's my ugly photo? What did I have it under? Picture. Here we go. Here's my photo. Oh, it's not square. Oh, whatever. We'll just deal with it. We'll put it on top of one of my circles. Okay. This is different though. Remember in Photoshop you had to put the picture on top of the mask, right? This is opposite here. I think the mask has to be on top of the picture. Welcome to the world of Adobe. Okay, so I think the circle itself, oh, this is linked together, I think, grouped together. The circle, it still looks like they're grouped together, no? How do I get this circle by itself? There we go. I think the circle needs to be on top, so I'm going to rearrange it and bring to the front. No? Okay, I guess I have a bunch of layer problems, actions here or something. Oh, I linked it. It's just linked. I want it embedded. Oh, it's already clipping group. Here's my circle. I can't bring it above. Let's bring it above. There we go. So I got my circle on top. So have your circle on top of your picture. There we go. Ooh, that's not going to fit very well, is it? Let me zoom in here. Okay. So we have the circle on top of the picture and select both of them and then go to make sure they're in the same layer, and then it's under Object, Clipping Mask, Make, and then you have your picture in there. Though it's kind of tight because I didn't crop it properly. So it's different than in Photoshop. In Photoshop the picture was on top of the circle, right? And then you tooled the clipping mask to be on the picture. In Illustrator, the circle's on top of the picture, and then you say clipping mask. So it's different. I don't think we should go over both of those. That's why I've been trying to avoid Illustrator. I think just stick with one tool if you can. I know some of you know Illustrator already. If you really want to use it and have, but you know, I think Photoshop would be better because you're getting more used to it. I know Jean's using a lot of Illustrator in her class, so I don't know. So let's look at the final Photoshop again. You should remember I won't be here for next week, but you should come on Monday. Sam will be here, and Wednesday don't come. And then, but when I come back on the 28th, try and have some layouts ready to make a prototype. You can just do them in Photoshop like this, and I'll teach you how to export each artboard out and then bring it into some program. I'll probably use Muse because that's the only one I really know how to use at this point. There's the new Experience Designer, which I've tried, and you might want to try it. It's called Experience Designer. It's in beta though, and it's on.
I tried it too. It seems like there's a lot of animations though.
Yeah, well, the other one doesn't have really animations either. So, but I mean, I don't know.
Do you know of any others? I was talking to someone the other day and they mentioned it to me, but I forgot what it was. But apparently, it has like a ton of. It's like another program that you can demo, like
The Sketch, of course.
Sketch,
No, another one. There's a whole bunch of them. Yes. I'll see what I can do. But at least make your layouts, that's what I would say. And then when we come back, we'll figure it out. Okay, I'm going to stop this video.